Good. All right, we're here at Met Fantasy Camp with Al Jackson. Al, you're here, and the beauty of you being here is pretty much your entire pitching staff, guys that you saw, that you work with in the minors, that made it to the majors are here. When you see, Shurik, Hillman, and Wlie all these years later, and knowing what they were like as young pitchers and seeing them giving back to the game, how does that make you feel?
Real old. It's a joy, because I saw them as young men, and I've seen the growth of them to where they are now. And I think that's the most enjoyment that a guy can have.
Now, of all the guys you've worked with in various organizations as a pitching coach, who was the one guy that you saw have raw talent, but then you helped to develop? There's raw talent and there's the actual art of pitching. Who's the guy that went the furthest from just the raw talent and then making himself a quote-unquote pitcher?
Well, let me see. Let me just think about it, because I was just thinking the opposite. And Dwight Gooden is the opposite. He came in as a 17, 18-year-old kid and seemed like he had been pitching for 40 years. One of those kind of things. And the rest of them was fairly close to that, but not to his measurements. There's certain things they have to learn. I think this is it, because the ability was there. You can't take a guy. I've never had a guy that throw 90 and then go to 120. I didn't never had that, really, because I didn't think it was that important. My methods in terms of coaching is teaching a guy who he is and what he has and how to use it. So I think that, to me, that was the best way to do it.
Now, so many of the new age pitching coaches really work on mechanics, same arm slot and such. But back in the day, you had guys, you look at Louis Keon, you look at Juan Marichal, you look at these guys, they were mechanical nightmares, but yet they didn't get injured.
No.
Okay, and they were effective pitchers. What do you think it's wrong for pitching coaches to try to make almost like cookie cutter deliveries?
Well, a young pitcher has to find basically his delivery. Now you can fine tune it to his liking, because he has to do it. One of those sort of things. You try to smooth him out so he won't hurt himself. You're never going to be perfect, but you can't just change a guy. So you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. A lot of guys don't even know what they're doing. So you teach them about that delivery, and the healthy way to do it, and have to go through that.
And what about pitch counts? I mean, you pitched in one game. What was the most innings you pitched in one game?
15 innings.
Right.
15 innings. I threw 162 pitches. And I was a guy that early I was very wild, because of my mechanics. One of those things. Probably this is where I got this from, because I know I was that same way. But I learned how to throw a strike my way. I had to make some adjustments, one of those sort of things, and train hard to do it, one of those sort of things. And my whole method was I'd take a young kid and have him throw the ball down the way on the right-hand hitter or down the way on the left-hand hitter, but you must do it in 30 pitches. Once you start to be consistent throwing in that one spot, you will learn how to do it. A lot of guys don't know how, so you must learn how to do things, and that makes it easy for yourself.
Are you a big proponent of limiting pitch counts, like what the Nationals did with Steven Strasburg? Granted, he was coming off of an injury, but do you think that pitchers should be capped at when they get near that 100 pitch mark, that's it, no matter where it is in the score, that's the limit? You have to pull them in and start.
Well, just like I said, you must train them how to throw strikes. These people that you're talking about, they throw a lot of balls. They abuse themselves, really one of those sort of things. No. We learn how to throw strikes. The whole thought process is not sound, because they think they can strike people out. You cannot strike a hitter out. The hitter strikes himself out. All you can do is execute a pitch. If you had that idea, then there wouldn't be too many problems. You don't use extra pitches on the side. But see, today they're throwers. Everybody want to throw the ball 95 to 100. Even the scouts, the owners, the managers, and they're looking for some power. A lot of people can't do it. That's why so many pitches are thrown, because it's a lot of balls, and ball one, ball two, and a lot of walks. You only abuse yourself. You know.
Who was the one guy during your career that was on one of your pitching staffs that just had the absolute best stuff that you've ever seen?
I've been with two. Bob Gibson and Seaton. They were solid. They were solid. Sometimes they use, which happens to all power pitchers, they use a lot of pitchers to do it, but they can do it. You know, they were built that way. They were strong enough to do it. But then you see them on some pitchers, they throw less than guys that throw 70 miles an hour because they were really on. You know, and one thing about it, a lot of times you use it, but you must have a desire to win the game. You won't be there until you win. You know, really want to something, and you'll do anything it takes. You know, and I think that method is sound for me. You know, really. If I'm in the 8th inning or 9th inning and I got a one-run lead, and you know maybe one down, I want to stay out there. I want to stay there until I can win. It happened to me one time in St. Louis. I was with St. Louis at the time, and I'm in the 9th inning, top of the 9th. And I got a one-run lead. I got a man at third, and I got a man at first. And now here comes the manager. He really come to take me out of the game. You know,
This is Shane Deese at the time?
Shane Deese, yeah. And he said, well, left-hander, I come and get you some help. I said, not tonight. This is my game. I'm the best pitcher you have to get a ground ball. Striking this guy out doesn't make any sense. It's one out. Got a man at third, got a man at second, at first. But I know I can get a ground ball. I don't care who's hitting. Dick Allen was the hitter. And the reason that's why he wanted to take me, because Dick Allen's a good hitter in the right hand. I'm left-handed. Didn't make me any difference. I knew I could throw a ground ball. That was my game.
And?
And he did. He had a slow ground ball to the third baseman. We went for the double play, but he beat it out at first. Tied the game up. I get the next man out. The first guy came to the plate, hits the ball in the hits a home run. Miss Jackson's son wins the game. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. You got to have desire to be there. You know.
And then just bringing it back to fantasy camp now, and not the coaches, but the actual kids, the campers that come down here to play. When you see the just pure love of the game, you know, by these guys paying a lot of money to come down to play all these games, but when they're out in the field, you know, guys only here for a few days, but you know, coming together as a team. What does that tell you about the game of baseball itself?
It's a boys' game. That's the phrase I use. You know, really, it's a boys' game. It's hard not to love this game. You know, it's hard for a lot of guys to play football, hard to play basketball, but it's very easy to enjoy baseball. As a kid, and it's all start that way, you know, really. And as you grow, you don't lose that love of baseball. You see these guys here, regardless of their age, and they're limited in playing, but they love this game. That doesn't stop with them, it's everywhere.
And then lastly, you know, a lot of it has been made this week because of the Hall of Fame voting and the fact that no one's made it to the Hall of Fame, no one was voted in. A lot of people will argue that back in the 60s, you know, players used greenies and amphetamines, so there's no difference. There's always been some level of cheating in baseball. Do you agree with that? And do you think that the guys that took performance-enhancing drugs should or should not be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, that's a tough question. You know, I love this game, you know, and you want to do your best. You want to do your best. That's an individual thing. Who am I to say? Who am I to say? I didn't take that chance, but the guy that does, he's taking his own chance. You know? So now that's what it is. You leave it up. You get caught, you get burned. You don't really want those sort of things, and then, you know. But when I'm saying, well, these guys shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that.
Not so much should they do it, but the guys that got caught cheating, do they have a right to be in the Hall of Fame?
Did the cheating help him to be the player that he was? Do you really believe that? We
hard
don't,
to say.
we don't really know.
We don't
See, this
know.
is what
That's
I'm saying.
right. So that's what makes it right.
How can I say, well, this is, no. Nobody's proven to me, you know, I have, you know.
Right, there's no way of proving it because you don't know what he would have been without it. Or, right.
Why should I say, oh, this is, no, this can't be. I don't have that power to do that.
Fair enough.
That's the only way I can see it. You know, really. All right? Okay, good.